morning.
Good morning. Shaka.
The Channel 2 Morning News with Courtney Harrington and Mary Zanakis.
Good morning. That was live, huh?
In the headlines tonight, John Hinckley Jr. may have suffered brain damage from yesterday's suicide attempt. The AFL-CIO president isn't happy with the Reagan administration. And Hanauma Bay's commercial enterprises get a reprieve.
The Channel 2 News at 10 with Joe Moore and Les Kiter.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us this Monday night. John, there is damage on Oahu and Kauai. The Navy sends ships out of Pearl Harbor.
The Channel 2 News at 6 with Joe Moore and Les Kiter.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday. The big story, of course, Hurricane Eva.
A shootout in Chicago leaves 5 people dead. A Honolulu police officer testifies about gang violence. A Kalihi man is sentenced for trying to kill a police officer. And Boston's police union endorses Bush.
The Channel 2 News with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday, the 22nd of September.
The stage is set for tomorrow's presidential debate in North Carolina. The SS Monterey gets underway after promising to comply with federal health regulations. And the Rainbows run away with another one to make it 4 straight.
The Channel 2 News, Hawaii's #1 news with Kirk Matthews and Denise Cannon.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Saturday, the 24th of September.
News with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday, the 2nd of May.
Insurance claims from Hurricane Iniki forced the 5th largest insurance company in the state to fold. Disturbances at a safe house forced police to move Anthony Kekona to the cell block. And stadium manager Ken Kiabu apologizes for the controversy at Aloha Stadium.
The Channel 2 News with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday, the 3rd of December. Hot temperatures and dry weather make a troubling mix for local firefighters. A fight over sewage turns into a battle over legal money. And a pleasure cruise for a local Navy man heads into troubled waters.
The Channel 2 News with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Monday, the 14th of June.
Aloha kakahiaka e nā Hawaii. This is KHON-TV, Honolulu, Hawaii. The Channel 2 Morning News is next.
Happy Girls Day. Welcome to the Channel 2 Morning News. It is Aloha Friday. I'm Kirk Matthews.
Aloha, I'm Leslie Wilcox. We're glad you're with us on this Aloha Friday morning.
Now, Hawaii's only live world news broadcast. This is the Channel 2 News World Report with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 world news.
Good evening. This is the World Report for Monday, the 27th of January.
This is Fox 2, Hawaii's news channel. KHON-TV, Honolulu, Hawaii. The Channel 2 News is next.
State senators say the Sand Island hostage crisis.
This is the Channel 2 News at 6 with Joe Moore. Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Monday, the 12th of February.
This is Fox 2, Hawaii's news channel. KHON-TV, Honolulu, Hawaii. The Channel 2 News is next.
President Clinton accepts the Democratic nomination.
This is the Channel 2 News at 10 with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday, the 29th of August.
Good morning. This is the Channel 2 Morning News with Kirk Matthews and Tanya Boyd, Hawaii's #1 morning news.
Good morning and welcome to the Channel 2 Morning News. Tanya is off this morning. We thank you for joining us on this Aloha Friday, the 25th of July.
This is the Channel 2 News at 6 with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news. From the KHON-TV Broadcast Center, this is the Channel 2 News with Ramsey Wharton and Jai Cunningham, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good morning. From KHON2 News, this is Hawaii's Morning News with Kirk Matthews and Tanya Waki, Hawaii's #1 morning news. From KHON2 News, this is Hawaii at 6 with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
A criminal conviction forces House Republican Galen Fox to resign.
From KHON2 News, this is Hawaii at 10 with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Thursday, the 6th of August.
From KHON2 News, this is Hawaii at 10 with Jai Cunningham, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Sunday night. We appreciate you joining us right after the season premiere of 24.
Hawaii at 10 with Ramsey Wharton and Jai Cunningham, Hawaii's #1 news.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jai Cunningham. This is our KHON2 News, Hawaii at 10 for this Sunday, the 29th of February.
This is Wake Up Today with Hawaii's Morning News.
Good morning. It is Wake Up Today for December the 18th, Aloha Friday. Coming up on Wake Up Today.
This is Hawaii's World Report with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
The tug of war continues. How new efforts to extend the payroll tax cut were blocked again.
This is the KHON2 News at 6 with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
A gruesome discovery on Sand Island.
And we hadn't seen them for over a month, I would think.
How 2 bodies were found in an office building freezer, and why the rental of the space says it's all a misunderstanding.
This is the KHON2 News at 10 with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
It's a popular lunch spot in Kapahulu, but it's operating illegally.
They need to be in the right place and they need to obey the law.
A body discovered in a Whitmore Village home. We have the latest on a murder investigation.
This is Wake Up Today.
Good morning. Welcome back to Wake Up Today on this Wednesday morning, June 24th. Diane has the morning off. Ron here.
Thousands of homes and businesses in East Oahu lose power.
For the second time in less than a week. So what's causing all the outages?
This is the KHON-2 News at 5 with Howard Deshefsky and Marissa Yamane.
And good evening, everybody. 2 full hours.
This is the World Report with Joe Moore. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Aloha Friday, the 9th of June. Dining out may soon get healthier thanks to a little bit of color.
This is the KHON-2 News at 6 with Joe Moore.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Aloha Friday, the 18th of October.
A new travel ban is announced for city employees.
While they won't be allowed to go to a couple of certain U.S. states.
This is the KHON-2 News at 9 with Howard Deshefsky and Marissa Yamane.
And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Marissa has the night off. I apologize for that. I'm Kathy Muneno.
This is the KHON-2 News at 10 with Joe Moore.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Monday, the 12th of October.
This is the KHON-2 News at 6 with Marissa Yamane.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us.
We're working for Hawaii. This is the KHON-2 World Report with Joe Moore.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us for the World Report. Joe has the night off.
Honolulu police need your help in finding a man who's deemed armed and dangerous.
This after he shot his own girlfriend. We also speak to neighbors about what happened.
We're working for Hawaii. This is the KHON-2 News at 6 with Joe Moore.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us on this Christmas Eve.
Joe has the night off.
What was supposed to be a relaxing day out on the water turned into a scary encounter for a Big Island paddler.
Yeah, call it man versus whale. And it's a story you'll see only on 2.
We're working for Hawaii. This is the KHON-2 News at 10 with Howard Deshefsky and Marissa Yamane.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us.
Sheer panic this morning. Just after 8 o'clock, this alert reached cell phones and airwaves across the state. Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. The terror sent some people running for cover.
We're working for Hawaii. This is the KHON-2 News at 10 with Kathy Muneno.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Saturday, January 13th.
This is KHON-2, Hawaii's news leader.